what happens if I'll just keep going. So here's our plan for today. Here's our project. I've got a sunstone. Oh, good. We are really live. I see somebody. Sweet. Okay, great. So I got a sunstone today, and you might notice I have a change of scenery because I am no longer in Temecula. I'm in Hollywood, surrounded by uh, movie stars and cats. And I just got a customer order, Sunstone. So let us check it out up close and see what it looks like. So we got a nice big piece. There is a crack. I think maybe you can see it right there. That's going to come off. There's some black stuff. There's some schiller inside. So we're going to try and bring out the best for this stone. And the last time that I did a live thing, I had already preformed it. Uh-oh. Come back. There it goes. So the last time that I did a live thing, I had already preformed the stone. So I thought maybe it'd be cool today to preform on camera. So we got a big piece, but there's stuff that's going to come off. It's got inclusions, it's got a crack that needs to come, and then we just need to make a nice shape that's going to be thick enough to actually give us the height we need for sunstone. So I've got my sintered 100 grit lap on here, and this is the first time that I've used this setup in this house, so let's see how it works. So I'm cat sitting for 3 weeks, which is why I'm in a new place. And I thought, well, I'll take advantage of the Wi-Fi. Okay, so I got my speed going about 999 or something like that. So first thing I'm going to do, just start to make the shape, and there's that crack on the bottom. What kind of light are you using? This thing? It's just, I don't know. It's one from China that we found. It's in our student toolkit. I like it a lot because it has a nice long gooseneck, and it changes color and it changes brightness. Okay, so I'm gonna just start cutting right into it. The edge has to get thickened up, so I'll start with that, and then I'll start to take that crack off as well. So for me, I always start with the girdle because I want... The girdle is what everything is sort of sitting around, right? Like that's where the jewelry is going to connect to it as well. So the girdle has to be clean, strong, and well shaped because it's also creating the outline shape. So we want to have a really attractive stone, which means the outline and the girdle need to be where we start from, or at least where I start from. So I'm just taking off some cracks, and already our chipped part came off on its own. I didn't even have to try to do it. I figured that was going to happen. So let me shape this up a little bit, and then I will show you guys what I'm doing. And meanwhile, on here, I'm still figuring out YouTube streaming. I have no idea who's in here with me other than the people that are talking in the chat. I don't know why. I think I haven't done something right, but let's just continue on. It seems to be working, so let's just, okay, keep going. Cool. Yeah, a freeform shape. Already you can see, I mean, it looks like it's going to be a pear. I think it's going to be something kind of geometrical, but yeah, I'm gonna freeform do it right here, and I want to basically take off all of the surface because there's lots of holes and pits and all kinds of stuff in here. So I'm gonna basically have to decide which side's going to be the culet and which side's going to be the crown and which side's going to be the pavilion. It's fairly flat, so I can kind of choose right now, and I'm choosing based on where the shiller's at. I don't want it to be right under the crown. And if I had a side that was more pointy, I would use that side, but they're both flat, so I think this is going to be my bottom. Well, I don't know. Neither one's better, so I'll just start working on both. So this whole step is just done by hand shaping. So the stone's in my hand, and I'm manually moving it around where I want it to be to try to get off all the cracks and get all the inclusions out that I want to get out. So I'm doing this because there are these deep pits in the stone, and if I just try to start faceting, I have no idea how deep the deepest pits are. So if I just start, if I dop it up and start, going through all the time to put the facets down, and then I realize there's a giant hole in one of them, wasted a lot of time. So this way I get the holes out, and then as I put the facets on, I can see exactly what I'm doing. No surprises. And then at the same time I can take inclusions out. So give me a second and I'll show you guys exactly what I'm doing here. There's lots of deep spots in this stone. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. So, you can see now I've taken the edge off and smoothed it out. I've smoothed out the surfaces, but notice there's still some pretty serious holes in there. That's what I'm talking about. If I just try to start faceting from the rough, those are the holes that would be in the middle of my facets. So I don't want to have to think about that. I don't want to have a bad surprise an hour into cutting the stone, or even 20 minutes into cutting the stone. So I have to take this stuff out. And here you can see this side has all kinds of stuff. So this has to get taken out. And then the process of taking that out is going to change the shape of the stone. It might change the outline shape, or it might change the thickness. I think it's going to do both. And then I'm going to have to reshape it to compensate for how thin the stone has got. So let's try and take off, this black part. Actually, there's a whole piece on here that's going to come off. So this stone might radically change shape. We can see that right now, before I do this, it's fairly pear-shaped, but I have a feeling that once I take this big chunk off, I'm going to have to reshape the stone dramatically. So let's dig into that. Okay, the black part's been removed, but I've got this pretty big piece on here that looks like it's just going to pop off. The crack goes all the way around, which means that there's a layer here. So I'm just going to go ahead and force it off so that it doesn't happen later, because it's not going to stay. No way. So I'm kind of coming at that hole from different sides. I don't want to just grind it all the way off one side, because then I'll just make it really lopsided. I'm trying to do it evenly so I can keep as much of the stone as possible. Do Dreamlapse work well with Sunstone? I don't know if I ever tried it. I had one. I don't have it anymore because I had the centered lapse and I didn't find that one to be useful for me. It was a bit slow for my tastes. So I don't remember cutting Sunstone on it, but it's just a regular lap. Like, there's nothing special about it. It's diamond powder on aluminum, so I think it will work on everything. So I still have some holes right around the girdle area, so I gotta get those off because of course we can't have holes in the girdle. And then I still got a bunch of holes on both sides of the stone, so I'm just taking off the holes. Again, if I don't take them off now, they're going to cause me problems later, and it's much faster to take them off now. You know, I don't want to be an hour into the stone and then have to redo all of the facets because there's a hole in the Q-lit or a hole at the table or whatever. So we do this now, and then we can make the stone as thick as we want it by changing the outline shape. Whoa. Shot it. Where did it go? Uh-oh. We've lost it. I saw it pop right over onto the carpet here, but I can't see it. Okay, hold on. Give me a second. Oh, here it is. Okay. So, where were we? Taking off holes. Yeah, there's still some small ones in here. The cool thing I like about the centered lapse, it gives a really nice texture to the skin, so it makes it actually a lot easier to see through the skin. Even though this is like the coarsest grit centered lap, but I can see so clearly, you know, through. I can see the schiller so clearly, though it has to be wet to do that. Otherwise, it just looks frosty. So only after I get all these holes and cracks out, then do I really see what do I actually have to work with. Because whatever shape the rough was before, it's like, I mean, if there's a lot of cracks and holes in it, it's basically just, you know, it's a fantasy. It's not the real, that's not your real volume that you're working with, because all the facets have to get underneath all the holes, and all the surfaces have to be convex, no concave areas. And this stone had a lot of concave areas, so even though it seems like maybe I'm cutting off so much of the stone, like this was already going to come off anyway, but now, and I'll show you in a second why I'm doing this, there's still one ugly bit of included stuff. So let's keep working on that. Yeah, the bad part is the big layer that's going to pop off is like right in the middle of the stone. Let me show you where I'm at now. Welcome from North Carolina. Welcome to Southern California. Welcome to Hollywood. So, where are we at? So, this is where we are now. And it's looking pretty clean now. The surface holes have been removed. But what I'm still working on is this bottom part down here. You can see that ugly spot, and notice it looks like a ring, like there's a circle around it of groove, and that's the layer that has to come off, because that's going to come off anyway. So it's in my best interest to take it off now, and then I can plan around the hole that's going to be underneath of it. So I haven't taken that much off really, just little bits here and there. and a couple places I've sort of lost the girdle thickness, so I kind of bring them back as I go. Wow, Australia, New Zealand, North Carolina. Everybody's in here from all over the world today. That's cool. Okay, so just thinking about attacking this hole. I guess we're just going to have to go for it from all sides. Okay, let's see the progress. I just took about half of that layer off. So notice it now. It's a lot smaller, but it's still there, and it's right in the middle of the stone, which is really annoying. That's like should be where my culet's at, but well, it still will be. Or I don't know, maybe that side ends up being the table. But I don't think so. That side's still pretty pointy. And I'm coming in from like 3 sides in order to be able to get it out. So that's naturally making like a cubit point. Ooh, welcome from Sweden. If I had a window, I think, if I had a window on that side of the apartment and I looked out of it, I could see the Hollywood sign from here. That's where I'm at. Yep, there it is. Okay, so let's see if you guys can see this. That's that sliver that I was trying to get off. It just popped off, so that's gone. And we can see, so that was always going to happen. That's why I did this now. I don't want that to happen during the faceting. So notice what's under there. Fracture. So I want to know that that's there now, and work around that. Not have that happen, in the middle of the whole thing. Also, that significantly lowers the height of my stone, which means if I want to hit the critical angle, I'm going to need more height, which means I'm going to have to make the stone less wide and less long. So we're going to remove this hole first so I can see where's my actual low spot, and then change the shape of the stone. So this is a challenging one. This is a deceptive one because the stone looks really big. It's not going to be really big when I'm done. And that's just because of inclusions. There's just no way around it. So I'm basically making it as flat as I can right now on the bottom to push into that crack hole. But that's not really helpful because I'm way under the critical angle doing this, but it's just so I can remove the damage and start to actually build it up. Okay, damage removed. Let's see how it looks. So, no more hole. I've got 3 planes that I manually put in there. And I've got a point, which is going to be my culet. And then on the opposite side, I've got a nice big flat face, but very, very thin. That's not going to work. I don't know. Maybe this one. Yeah. It's almost tempting just to make it into a cap, but I think we can find our way. The other issue I'm seeing is there's a bit of an inclusion down on this side, so as I start shaping it, I'm going to push it into that side and just get rid of that part, because I have to bring the whole thing in anyway, so why not bring it in at the inclusion and get it out, and then I'll have a cleaner stone. Plus also there's no schiller in that spot, so it makes sense to just cut in from this side. There's like basically a white end over here, so let's do that. So I'll keep my hand moving while I do it so I can keep that curve shape at the bottom, since I already had a nice curve. And then this is making my girdle much, much thicker. Okay, go up a little bit. So I just cut a little bit, rinse it, and then see what does it look like. And I want my girdle to be super thick right now because it's the girdle that we're going to get our height from now to cut in the pavilion. So no choice but to make the stone smaller. Okay, all the inclusions are pretty much removed. And now I'm shaping. So then I have to decide, will it be a pear? Will it be something else? It still looks pretty pear-shaped. It's gotten a lot smaller now. But we only have schiller part now, and the thickness is much thicker. It's not, I don't think it's thick enough yet, so let me keep working and then I'll show you guys where we're at as far as thickness goes. So I just got to be conscious of where I'm getting basically the yield from. Is it from this side, from this side? Luckily, the point of the pear is the thickest spot, because that's not really the side I want to get it from. But let's see here. Okay, so here is probably as much as I'm going to do by hand. I think I'm going to get ready and dop it up now. So where are we at? Okay, so we can see girdle, nice and thick now. That's going to give me enough room to pull a crown and hopefully a pavilion out of it. It might still be a little bit too thin. We got that one black thing down there, but that's going to come out in the cutting. That's not very deep. And then we don't have any more. I know it's not super easy to see when I'm doing it the camera like this, but we don't have any more empty spots. There's schiller everywhere. And yeah, we've got a flat side and a slightly more pointy side. It's still pretty flat. And Sunstone's low RI, so it needs to be thicker than this, but in order to do that, I'm going to dop it and switch laps, and then we'll do the hand shaping easier with a lap on there, or with a dop, with it on the dop. So I've already got a dop here. Yeah, got everything. Okay. So first thing I'll do is just prep my dop. And get all the wax exactly in the shape I want it to be, which means it should be coming up off the end of the dop so that when I push the dop wax into the stone, it easily just conforms around the stone. So I don't want it to be down on the metal, I want it to be sticking up a bit. So I do that by pushing wax up towards the tip. So I just keep heating it, rolling it, heating it, rolling it. And it's all about the subtle ways of how you angle your hand. You get to the end, you squeeze it up, and then you tilt your hand up a little bit and roll it, and it will make it into a nice point. So you can see the dop ends right there, and the wax goes up a lot higher. So that's the first step. Second step, you got to heat up the stone. So I'm going to heat up the sunstone a bit. I'm going to heat up the wax a bit, and then I'm going to put them together. So since I'm doing the crown first, I'm waxing to the pavilion side, and then I'm managing all the wax. I need to center the stone, I need to build the wax up, I need to make a nice foundation, and I don't want the wax coming up over the top. Okay, so heat it up a little bit more. And this is a long stone, so I might need to build up the wax a little bit around the long ends. Let's see if I can just pull it up. Because I don't want an end that's not supported, because that's exactly the kind of thing that makes the stone pop off the dop. Okay. Okay, looks pretty centered. So it's on there, but notice how there's almost like a 90-degree angle where the wax hits the stone. I want it to be more tapered than that. I want like a nice cone shape. So I'm going to add a bit more wax under those end parts just so that there's a lot of support underneath those ends. I don't want them to pop off while I'm working. That would be really annoying. So just add a bit more wax on both sides, and then that gives me some extra wax to move around to manipulate underneath of those long ends. Whoops. Okay, and then while it's still hot, I'll just start pinching it around with my fingers and heat it up a little bit more. And I really want to build it up. I don't want to pinch it in too much. I want it to be thick and well supported under there. Oops. And then once the whole thing is the way you want it, heat up everything again, and then all the cracks and the bubbles and everything just sort of melt together, and the wax gets soft and just basically heals itself. So if you've combined two bits together, they will automatically heal, because we don't want cracks in the wax, because that's also a weak spot. So now I'm just making sure that I pull all the wax down. I don't want it to be up on the girdle because I'm about to shape the girdle, and I'd rather not fill my lap with wax. Okay, so this is what it looks like now. Notice the ends aren't hanging off in the air, and there's this nice taper that is supporting them. So I do the final thing to do before. I can do it now or I can do it later, but I usually like to do it now. I want to center it on the dop because I don't think I'm going to take much more material off this, so I like to center it now before we start hand shaping. So I do it in the handpiece because then as I'm turning the index gear, I can visually see if the stone is centered or if it's going up and down. So let's just see how I did. Okay, so it's close to center, but not quite. So I can just heat it up in the handpiece and then center. So it needs to go a little bit that way. Yeah, that's pretty good. And what about side to side? Nope, not centered either. And then once I reshape it, if I change the shape dramatically, then I would have to do this again if I want the stone to be centered on the dop. It doesn't have to be centered on the dop. I can work around that, but it does make it go faster. Okay. Okay, that looks pretty good. And is it flat? Yes. Okay, so it's centered now. So we're still in the preforming stage. I'm not ready to cut any facets or anything yet, but I am going to change my lap because I don't want this really rough lap. I only want to take a bit off now. I want it to go slow. So this is a 600 grit centered lap. And I'm going to take this thing back out. And we're going to keep doing the same thing we were doing before, only finer now. So now I've got this handle to hold on to, so it's very easy for me to go around and start to really do the hand shaping. And so that just happens right on the side of the lap. So first I'll just go around and make sure all the wax is off. It's not blocking the outside edge. And then I'll just start to take the skin off the girdle, because we don't want anything to be left at that 100 skin. That's going to be very hard to polish later. So taking the skin off, but also starting to shape it. And also, I don't mind if I take a little bit more off because the stone's getting taller as I do this, and I want that. So I can also just start to put in an area where the table's going to be. This is already a flat spot there. I just want to make it easier for myself to see. Okay, now comes the hardest part. Getting a good shape. That's so important. And if I don't do a good job, then it doesn't matter how good my faceting is. It's not a nice stone. But what makes a good shape? How do you know when you have a good shape? Because of course everybody's tastes are different. I've had one customer recently that really wants me to make weird, wonky, oval shapes. I don't think this customer wants that, so then I have to kind of know, or just decide myself, what's a nice shape. So I'm looking at the edge and noticing, yeah, there's still some 100 grit on there. I can see the frosty parts. I just need to get underneath everything as I go. And there's still a bit of a hole on just one side, so I got to work on that a little bit. No holes in the girdle. That's the rule. Okay, so the secret to the good preform, it's all about just learning how to see. So here's my current status. I've gotten everything up to 600, and where are we at? There's my current shape. It's not perfect yet, but it's turning into something. It's becoming a pear, I guess. And then I have to think about, do I want it to be a rounded shape? Maybe this customer would be interested in a more geometric thing. But the rounded shape does look nice. Yeah, I think it's so rounded now, I think we should just keep it nice and round, and I just have to then make a nice shape. A balanced, symmetrical shape. And so the important thing to remember is to keep your hands straight. I don't want to be putting my girdle in at this weird angle. So we're going to keep it straight and start working on our perfect shape. It's pretty close, but there's one corner, one shoulder here that's kind of drooping. So we're getting closer to symmetrical, but not totally there yet. Okay. We've got a flat spot right by the point on the girdle, so I got to round that out a little bit. Okay, and the other side. And so yeah, we have to look a lot. Hi from Texas. We're cutting a sunstone. It's going to be a pear shape because that was the shape that the rough was naturally in. And currently just hand preforming it to get the perfect shape, which is really the hardest part of the whole thing. I'm pretty close, but not close enough yet to really be a perfect pear. I need it to be very symmetrical. Currently I'm on a 600 grit centered. We started with 100 grit and did the first shaping, but now I'm doing the fine shaping, so I've switched over to a finer lap. And I think I'm pretty close here. Here's what we're looking at now. So that's my shape. And I'm mostly working on the bottom shoulders right now. One side's a little bit more bulbous than the other one, so I'm trying to make them even out nice and symmetrical before I start. I want this to be a really symmetrical one. It's looking pretty good, I think. So I'm just going back around to make sure that everything is straight up. Don't want my girdle to be at a funny angle. And okay, the tip needs a little bit of tweaking. So yeah, this is the tedious part. Just looking, cutting a little bit, looking, cutting a little bit, and then trying very hard to see, is it symmetrical or is it not? And it's not quite there yet. The closer you get, the harder it is to tell if you're there. But if you make a mistake and you think you're there and you cut the whole stone, then the final stone does not look so good. Okay, I think I'm good. I can always come back. No fireplace in Thailand. Currently streaming from Hollywood, California. Okay, so here's my shape. I'm pretty happy with it. And I'll show you the close-up as well, in case that's easier to see. Where are we at? So you can see nice consistent shape. Whoops. And you can see the schiller in there really coming through in those parallel lines. So, okay. If I decide at some point that I'm not happy with my outline shape, I can always come back and tweak it. So let's now put the stone in the dot, put the dot in the handpiece, and then I'm going to zero out my handpiece and get everything lined up straight. So when I do pairs or any symmetrical shape like this, I don't align the 96 side with a long side the way that I would an oval. I'm going to do it this way because everything is symmetrical, so many to the left, so many to the right. And for me, it's much easier to work around 96 and do that. So I'm like 96 plus 5, 96 minus 5. So I want to make sure that this is perfectly lined up with the index gear. And then, so there's my 96. So the 96 is the bottom end here. That's my 96. So I'm thinking about everything as a mirror to the left and to the right. And let's try to figure out what our indexes are going to be. So in order to map this thing out, I'll start I do everything visually. So I'm going to start, so this is a previous one that I did a couple days ago. That's sort of a, what do you call it, like a egg shape. So this one, okay, the one thing that I didn't get over here is a pen. Let me grab a pen real quick. That's going to be important. Okay, so what I like to do, okay, we're doing it in red. So I'm going to just draw the shape that I just made. Something like this. So now as I go around and start to think about where it's gonna work. Okay. So I know I want to have basically, so I'm going to invent the diagram as I go. I know that I want to have 2 mains on each side and 2 here, and then I want 2 more down here. So it's going to be 6 mains total, which is not my normal layout, but I think that's what this stone needs. And another thing I forgot is paper towels. So, want that to be clean. I'm not sure, you guys can't see, but right behind my machine right here, there is a cat in a luxurious bed enjoying the fireplace. Okay, so I'm going to do a shallower crown than I normally do, 30-degree mains, and I have to experiment a little bit to see where I want these mains at. They should, okay, there we go. They should evenly spread around. Okay, so that's plus 30. So minus 30. So everything that I do is going to be symmetrical. So if I do plus 30 on one side, I do minus 30 on the other side. And that way I know that everything is balanced left to right. And then I gotta make sure that I cut them to the same depth as well. Okay, those aren't done yet. So this is what my first two facets look like. So notice, it's kind of hard to see, but there's, hold on, I'll do this a different way. So they're at the ends. There, you can see one right there. It just looks like a little almond-shaped sliver right now. And then same thing on the other side. Yeah, there you go. So I'm just, yeah, right there. Just trying to feel it out. Where are they going to sit? How are they going to sit around the 360 of the stone? So I think those two are going to work. So then let's work on another side. So too far. And I'm just doing everything visually. So I'm just putting them in a little bit, seeing how they sit. If it doesn't sit right, I move it more in the direction I want it to go. And then just try to see what's gonna balance out. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So that's 22. And then all of the mains have to be cut to the same depth. That's crucial. Otherwise, your girdle is going to be really weird. So this first tier is also defining the girdle line. Okay, that looks pretty good. So then minus 22. So I just got to make sure I'm taking good notes along the way, otherwise I'm not going to know how I did this. Write down the stone, sketch it out with the mains. Yeah, exactly. So just making a map, basically. That's all it is. And then you just have to make sure that the girdle is the same depth all the way around. Okay. So this is coming along pretty good. And then let me quickly flatten the table because I want to start using the table as a guide for balancing the sizes of the different facets, but if the table's still preform, it's giving me bad information. Okay, that's good. Okay, so I got 4 in. Let me find the other 2 and then I'll show you what it looks like. So these ones are going to be pretty close to 96. I think they're going to be 96 plus 6. Let's see. Maybe more than that. Okay, yeah, that looks pretty good. Plus 12. Okay, so we'll call that 12 and then minus 12. Okay, so here's what it looks like right now. So I've got 6 mains in. So if I show it to you from this way, you can sort of see the outline that the mains are making. If I catch the table right there, then you can kind of get the sense. But if we look at it this way, you can see I've got 2 back here, and then 1 here, 1 here, and then same 2 on that side. And let's see if it looks any better with magnification. So there's the 2 on one side, and let's check out the back 2. So yeah, you can see the back of my girdle now starting to come in. Notice how the girdle's pointed up right now. There's a little pointy bit in the back. Normally that's not good, but I'm going to have 2 break facets in there that are going to spread it out, because the girdle needs to be flat in the end. So I'll put some girdle stars in there. But I still got to balance everything out a little bit more because I got like a rounded end right here. Whoops. Come back. Come back. Doesn't want to focus. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Okay. So let me just do a little bit more balancing. So I just want to look and make sure everything looks consistent. Which it does, but there's just some of the preform left, so we got to cut everything just a bit deeper. So cut the one as deep as it needs to go in order to balance it. And then cut the rest to match. To use the whole lap width. I'm not sure what you mean by that. So I'm just bringing down the table a little bit more to try to get some of the, there's just this little bit of preformed skin there that I'm trying to work off slowly. Okay. So I'm just going back and forth on the two on the end that are not meeting yet. Those are the two that still have a gap in between them, so I'm trying to get rid of the gap. And then make sure that they're both cut to the same depth. Okay, little sliver almost out. Okay, we're just about there. So I'm just looking down the girdle and making sure that the depth is the same on both sides. Otherwise, that means one side is going lower than another. So I'm just looking down. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so now I gotta balance the rest. So now I just go around and I've got two facets that are much deeper than the rest. So I make all the rest the same depth, and then the girdle's balanced. Swoop to swoop. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay. And then 12 and minus 12. Okay, so I've come to a very interesting point. So here's my map so far. I've got my 8 mains drawn in. And my facets are balanced, but my girdle's not even. And that's showing me, okay, let's look at it this way. So check out the table there, reflecting. It's even and symmetrical. If I show it to you this way, oops. Table's even symmetrical, but the girdle isn't. So the girdle swoops down right here, which tells me that my outline shape is not balanced. So notice, yeah, on this side it's going a lot lower if we're looking at these two swoops. I think you can see that it's not balanced. So what I need to do now is take this out of the handpiece, and I'm gonna just reshape it a little bit. And the girdle line will kind of show me what I need to do. So one little shoulder wasn't perfect with the other one, and now that all the facets are there, I can see that. So I just got to be careful as I do this not to overdo it. Okay, a little bit more. Okay. It's looking better, but not even yet. So I just need to make sure the girdle's balanced, table's balanced, stone looks nice, and it's getting very close. I think firstly though I've run out of water. So hold on one second. Yeah, I used to use an optivisor, but I don't know. When I started using this machine, I just switched over to a loop all the time, and now I don't know. I don't even think I have an optivisor anymore. We have one somewhere for looking at rough, like just for buying rough, but I don't really ever use it for cutting. It makes my eyes feel weird, like they're bugging out or something. So I just don't. think that's looking pretty nice. Okay, so here's my updated shape. Slightly blurry, but you can get the sense of it. And I just need to adjust a couple of the facets. So now, in order to not waste anything, I need to put this back in and line it up with what's already there. So what I can do is go to one of the facets that I know the number of. So let's say the negative 22, and I know the angle that I'm on already, and I just need to come down a bit and flatten it against the lap, and then when I feel it flat, I can tighten it, and I can double check. Yeah, cool. So re-indexed. So now it's back in there. That's a lot harder to do whenever you've got star facets and stuff, but when you just have mains, it's pretty quick. So let me just rebalance a couple of these so that the girdle matches and everything. And I'm going to touch each one just to make sure, in case my indexing is slightly off. It looks good, but I just want to make sure that everything is indexed correctly, so that when I go to polishing I don't have any weird half facets or something like that. Okay, so now everything should be balanced. So the balancing step is really important. This is, I would say, one of the, after cutting the girdle and making it the good size, balancing is really important, because if you don't have your mains balanced and evenly spaced with equal sizes, then when you go to put in your stars and stuff, they're going to come in all lopsided, and everything that we build upon from this point up is built on top of this foundation right here. So we need to make sure that everything is even and symmetrical, if it's meant to be symmetrical. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so mains are done. Ooh, someone in Illinois just got a faceting machine. Congratulations, Chris Evans. What kind of machine did you get? Okay, here's my balance. And let me try and adjust my light here real quick, and maybe you can get a better view of what I'm doing. Okay. So we've got a nice outline shape. We've got a nicely balanced girdle, or I mean table. All the lines are lining up. And then if we look at the side view, which is hard to show, Well, it's a bit blurry for you guys, but the girdle is even all the way around, so you have to trust me on that one. So, now we have fun. That was the main. So we've got the girdle, we have a general sense of our symmetry, and we can see where the lines are in between. Oh, cool, Sterling. Congrats. So welcome to the party. So now, yeah, it looks good. Everything looks good. Maybe let me do one more little tweak here. Just want to make sure the table's really nicely balanced. Okay. So then now, what will we do? So that was 30 degrees. And I'm gonna build in, I'm gonna start with my break facets. So I think 40, maybe 39 degrees, we'll see. And if the first two mains are plus minus 12, maybe plus minus 6 for the breaks. Let's see how that sits. So everything is just trial and error. Cut a little bit, see what happens. Does it balance out? Does it look evenly sitting? Is the angle correct? Okay. So that looks like 41 degrees. So first two break facets looking pretty cool. Let's see if you can see it. So there's two triangles right in there. Yeah. So they look a little bit weird because they don't have their partners yet, but we're gonna figure out where everything's supposed to go. Okay, so now we're gonna do, so there should be one around maybe 15. So if I think I know where a facet should be, I make a little tiny one and then see if it looks like the right shape. That one wasn't the right shape, so just keep moving it around until I find it. Okay, that looks right. The angle's wrong. And so with these kind of free-form ones, it's not weird that like the break facets are all going to be at maybe radically different angles. Let's see. Okay, so 18, 37 degrees. So I think this one, I think I'm not going to put any star facets. It's just going to be break facets that hit the table. This is kind of in a design I've been playing with lately. Okay, let's do that on the other side. Perfect. Okay, 78, 36.5 degrees. Okay, the map is getting more and more complicated. So I think this one should be right at 24. No, wait. Yeah, maybe. No. .26. And maybe 1 degree lower. So I want to make sure that as these breaks come in, they all go to the same depth. I don't want some to be deeper than others because that also makes the girdle line kind of weird. Plus the meet points have to hit. Okay. Okay, so that one's 26 at 38.5 degrees. So let's see what's the minus 26. So that's 70. This one's going to go slightly higher. 1 degree taller than the other one. Yep. Okay, and then our culet point, maybe we'll try plus minus 6 so it matches the other end and see what happens there. No. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. So 64, not where I was expecting it to be, but okay. So that's 32. Okay, so the map is getting pretty fleshed out now. I've got most of the facets on there that I want on the stone. Yeah, it's cool. And then maybe I need one more facet in here, I'm not sure. The table looks a bit weird, it's so sharp. Okay, well here's what it looks like so far. I'm not totally sure if it's done or not. I'm going to try to adjust the light again so that I get a little bit more light on the stone when I'm trying to show it to you guys. Okay, let's try this. Okay, let's try a different angle. I'm looking at the screen upside down and backwards, so it's a little confusing to get everything oriented correctly. I can't really see this. I can't really get the stars to light up. You can kind of see them there. You can see they're kind of going up and down. Yeah, it doesn't look like too much without the... Okay, yeah, okay, you can kind of see them there. Okay, well, once I start polishing, it'll become much easier. Now, let me just look at this and decide, is it really... Okay, girdle's looking good. Facets looking even. I gotta tweak one in the polishing. But, okay, I think that could work. Yeah, okay, I think that can work. So, we'll turn off the water. 4:30. I think actually I have to go. There is a Lapidary Club Christmas party tonight. And I'm going to go and meet a bunch of gem cutters that I don't know. And it's an hour away. And I've got to stop and get some snacks on the way. So maybe for today we'll call this end of our session. And if you guys come back around tomorrow or whatever, we can polish the crown and then start deciding what the pavilion's going to look like. And suddenly I've got a lot of ooze in the bottom of my machine. What's happening? Thanks for hanging with me. It's been a pleasure. I couldn't decide. There's a podcast that came out this week that I really wanted to listen to. And I was like, do I listen to the podcast or do I do a live stream? I've never done a live stream on YouTube before, so this is like my first time playing with this interface and software and stuff. Somehow I feel like doing it on Instagram is easier. The putting the phone up or putting the stone up to the phone, I don't know why, but it focuses much faster. But whatever. We'll keep playing. Okay, well, I'll let you guys go to sleep or go have lunch or dinner or whatever time it is for you, and I'll catch you another day. Oh, tomorrow is Thursday, so I'm going to be doing a live stream with Highland Park Lapidary. So join us on Zoom for that. That will be fun. I'm going to be here doing the same thing but different. So see you